What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Dream a Little. I'm your host, Lo. Today we're talking with Matt about how he was able to successfully introduce ABDL to a partner, and everything went great, which sounds kind of like a dream come true. I mean, I think as ABDLs, we all want to be accepted and to have a partner who participates in our kink, but what happens if your partner loves your kink, but you find you're missing that connection on a vanilla level? What's more important, and is that kind of relationship sustainable? We're going to be discussing all that and more in today's episode. If you like this episode and you want to reach out to Matt, you can find his contact info in the show notes of this episode at thelittlelounge.com/158. On that same page, you'll find a video of my latest Nurturing Mommy roleplay. So if you'd like a little bit of help getting into little space, or you want to experience what it's like to have me as a mommy, be sure to check it out. Again, that's thelittlelounge.com/158. This is part 1 of the episode, so stay tuned for part 2 coming next week. All right, I won't make you wait any longer. Let's get started. What's up, Matt? Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good today. How are you doing?
Awesome. I am fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you identify as?
Yeah. So I am in my 20s. I don't know if you can tell from the accent, but from the UK.
I had a hint, yeah.
I identify as a switch and ABDL, really.
Okay, cool. So how long have you been into this?
No, it's a bit of a strange one, that. Like, it's slowly grown, but I mean, it's like slowly and progressively grown, the AB and the DL side, since, like, as far as I can remember, since childhood. I mean, my parents literally had to bribe me to get me out of nappies. I think Smarties is what they were using. But yeah, as a kid, like, looking back, I was, like, they literally had to bribe me to get out of them. And I don't know whether that's what's almost led to the whole ABDL now or not. But yeah.
Do you remember that, or do you just know that because of stories that they've told you?
I distinctly remember that. I think I might have been maybe 4 or 5. I think I might have been about 5 at the time. I have this one really vivid memory of sitting on the potty, and one of my parents coming in with a little box of Smarties because I'd used it, and that was literally the only reason why I'd gone to the bathroom. It was because I wanted Smarties.
You know, whatever works. I mean, you still wanted the diapers, but you also wanted the candy. So
yeah, but yeah, that's like my earliest memory of that, and I mean, I guess it worked for a little while.
Do you think that was also your earliest memory, just from your life in general?
No. My earliest memory was a dog jumping on me when I was a little bit younger.
You got a good memory. Dang. I don't remember anything from that time.
I mean, I could have dreamt it. You never know. But I feel like that was a memory. So.
Okay, so you've always had this attraction to kind of the ABDL side of things. And did you ever actually act on those when you were younger? Like, when's the first time you actually went to the store and, bought something that was kink related?
Oh, I must have been, I feel like maybe around 14 or 15 at the time. I mean, when I got into it, I remember it was on my DS, like my Nintendo DS, on the internet browser, because I was too scared to use a mobile browser or anything at the time. And it was just like browsing through the web was how I got into it. And then it must have been at about 14 or 15, I think, when I bought my first pair of pull-ups from a convenience store.
What was that like?
Oh my God, that was amazing. It was like, and like the reason it was so good was because there was probably a build-up of maybe a year where I think I was just padding my own briefs with like anything I could find.
I've been there.
Have you actually?
You got to become resourceful, right? With what you have, work with what you got.
Exactly. Yeah, literally the toilet paper goes a long way in a pair of briefs.
You just get creative. I mean, okay. So you were probably living with your parents at that time, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever had any embarrassing moments with that? I hope not. But if so, I kind of want to hear about them.
No, I don't think I have. Although or even now to this day, get a little bit worried looking back because I was not the most careful with disposing of it all. I mean, no, I say that I was pretty careful, but I wasn't aware of the process of what happens after you put rubbish into the bin.
Yeah.
So the way it goes, the way it went at my house was you put your rubbish into the black bin, and at the time I was like, okay, the binmen then pick up the black bin and take it away. They don't. My parents used to transfer what was in the black bin to the front of the driveway, where the binmen then collect it.
Yeah.
So I still wonder whether they were thinking, why are there just randomly filled plastic bags amongst the massive black bags, which are the general bin bags. So I try not to think about that too much.
Well, if they did, they didn't say anything. Thank goodness.
Yeah, God. So yeah, there is that. But I think it's generally been quite subtle. I mean, I remember having on a couple of occasions, them like walking into my room when I was padded under the covers, sort of thing, and I'd be like, "I'm on the phone. Go away, Mom."
Oh my gosh! Little did they know.
Little did they had no idea. Hopefully.
Thank goodness. I hear nightmare stories all the time, so it's nice to hear that you were able to, at least what we think, get away with it.
Yeah, I've heard some dodgy stories.
How has being into ABDL kind of affected your personal relationships, like your romantic relationships?
To be honest, so I think being ABDL, it's something I've always like switched in and out of. So if I've been in a vanilla relationship at the time with somebody, my ABDL feelings they almost disappear. And I remember going through like probably month-long stages where I'd be dating somebody. When you date someone in your teens, like 15, 16 sort of age, and yeah, it was that sort of shorter relationship where that would all die down, and I'd almost be infatuated by the person that I was actually dating, and not so much the kink side. The only time it ever really crossed into one of those relationships and affected it was in sort of, I'd say let's call it early adulthood, when I was dating a girl and this partner. I think literally it was on the first date. I think I saw a Tumblr notification on her phone, and like almost straight away, and she had this vibe almost straight away. Sort of, she had a bit of a little vibe to her. I picked up on it, and we jumped into a lot of the kink stuff quite quickly, which was great. Like, I don't know if you've almost you kept that sort of thing to yourself for a while, and then finally you got somebody there to share it with.
Yeah. Wait, was this all based on a Tumblr notification?
This was all, so I mean, so the way I met this girl was actually, I met her like on one of these dating apps that I think everybody in their early 20s has experienced at this point. So I met her on one of these, and like you could just tell from the profile, she just had this very like cutesy vibe to her. Like, you'd almost call it a bit of a kawaii vibe, like that sort of thing. And then that's probably why I immediately liked the look of her. Like, alarm bells just rang. I was like, yes, see who this is. So on the first date, like, I already had a little bit of a hunch. And then this Tumblr notification came through, and I was like, oh, you've got Tumblr? She said, yeah. I went, oh, can I have a look? And she was like really sort of a bit shy about it.
Oh, even better.
Yeah. Which I mean, gave a little bit more away. I mean, I don't know. So over in the UK, like, Tumblr is it's not a huge thing from what I know, from like what I've experienced. I don't know. It's a little bit bigger around the States and like everywhere else in the world, but I don't know a lot of people that have it. And generally, the people that I've noticed that do have it for that sort of side.
Right. At least I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I can't actually remember if it was later that evening after after the date. So we actually went out for ice cream on this first date, and we had like a pretty nice first date. I'm going, well, but back to the original question about how it probably affected my relationships. Unfortunately, in this case, because I'd kept this sort of stuff to myself for so long, jumped into it too quickly without assessing the actual person that was on the date with me over the table, which is a mistake probably quite a few of us have made or can make, and it's one of those where you make it only once. But I mean, it stemmed off into a relationship that lasted nearly a year, but unfortunately we didn't quite match as people, and we were more surviving on the kink almost.
Yeah. Well, when you got to have both, right?
Exactly. You do. It sounds quite sad, but it's not sad. We were, nice people, and it was, like every relationship, you have like really, really nice moments anyway. But yeah, like that was a big, big part of things, and I think we sort of jumped into it too quickly because as people, we weren't very similar, but we still sort of did a lot. And this was the first person I really opened up to about the kink, and even to this day, I mean, we don't really talk anymore. We know each other and whatnot, but we're not really in contact. But she only knew of my daddy's side, and not so much the little side.
That's got to be way easier to share than your little side.
Yeah, I probably should have said that one straight away, but yeah, it's so much easier to share that side. Like that's what I mean by I picked up on that quite quickly and played off of that quite quickly. But so yeah,
during that first year, you never opened up about your little side at all.
No, she still doesn't know.
Did you ever feel like you were kind of repressing that side of yourself, or was it still just so new and exciting to be able to get to explore your daddy side?
So, like, this is the thing. So, being in a relationship, I usually find it just naturally suppresses my little side anyway. And being the switch, my daddy side generally takes over. And it did do that. So I didn't really, I wasn't really feeling all that. It's funny though, because as soon as we broke up, or anytime there would be any sort of separation, that's when my little side would come out.
Yeah. It just wants to make its way out.
Yeah. I mean, aside from that time, it wouldn't really be noticeable. And I would just be like thriving and relishing in the daddy side of things. But yeah, as soon as not long after we broke up, that was when I started my Instagram again. Because back when I was like in my teens, I had an Instagram then. And I wouldn't really recommend being on Instagram at that age, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like, that's just the way it started back then. And I left it all and deleted it all in one of my relationships and never came back to it. And then after the end of this one, like my little side just smashed out of the wall.
You can only keep it inside so long, right? Until it just wants to come out and, be expressed. So what was that like when you first told a girl about your little side?
That was quite relieving, actually. Yeah. So it was actually a school friend who was, we still sort of keep in touch, but this was someone that I'd established a proper relationship with as a friend first, which is, I think, the most important part. So that's the mistake that's so easy to make when you first tell someone because you're excited, because you feel, I can tell this person and it'll be okay. And all of a sudden things can become a little bit more about the kink and not about your relationship with the person. So this second person that I actually told, we were good friends. And she took it so casually, she actually thought it was quite cute. She said, we didn't really talk too much about it, to be honest. Like we used to maybe go out for a run or just have a chat every couple of days. And she was very involved. But we confided in each other. We would confide in each other about each other's relationships at the time. So we were really good friends. And yeah, that was just a massive weight off my chest, actually telling somebody, because that was the first person I told.
Since you were just friends, did that take the pressure off of it a little bit? Yeah.
Pretty massively, actually. There was very little pressure there.
Was it kind of like practice for you a little bit?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe without even thinking about it subconsciously, it was almost just practicing telling somebody.
I want to hear how you did it.
We were talking about her. She was always quite open with me, and I was always quite open with her about our relationships. There's always somebody that you're quite open with. So she was pretty aware of like my DD side. She hadn't seen it. I hadn't given her all the details, but she knew. And she also had a daddy I say a daddy. They were, again, a regular vanilla relationship with a few little kinks.
Right.
So we knew the ins and outs. Anyway, and the way that I told her was, I said, so this whole DDLG, little dynamic. She said, yeah. I said, well, I've always wanted to flip it round. And I said, well, since so-and-so, some things happened, I've just been enjoying my own company and trying things out the other way.
And how'd she respond?
I think she just said it was pretty cool, to be honest. Like, it was a really casual response from her. There were questions asked, and I pretty much just explained, oh, well, to be honest, I've been into diapers from a young age, and yeah, bought myself a pair. I never gave her the details about how I was everything that I was into from that young age. But yeah, and then I mean, she never seen me in little space, but she's just aware of it. I think she even teased me a little bit about it.
That's cute.
It was quite funny at the time. Like I'd even go like when she was away, so she went off and travelled for a little bit, and we were just talking over social media. But like, she just every now and then in the middle of a normal conversation, she'd be like, "Oh, don't pee your pants," or something like that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I have friends who know too, like girlfriends of mine, and they know I have a podcast, but just like very vague, some of them. And then like I have girlfriends who know like everything. They know like I talk about diapers and stuff like that. So they'll ask me for like kink advice and stuff, and I'll just be like, oh, like giving them like vanilla advice, like, oh, tie him up, like blindfold him, And then my girlfriend will just look at me. She's like, and then put him in a diaper. Yeah. I'm like, you can do that if you want.
I find it funny how you say I'm giving them vanilla advice. Oh, tie them up, yeah, because that's just typical vanilla, yeah.
To me, my perception is very skewed.
I feel like that's quite a common thing. I feel like I don't know. Can you say this is an extreme kink, or is it just a normal kink? Can you like gauge them like that?
I feel like most people, even though this is such a cute, soft, delicate kink at times, like for most people, I think they would definitely go out extreme.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's so hard to tell. When you're in it, like, and you're into it, like, I honestly, sometimes I'm like, how are more people not into this? I just love it so much,
I know. Even the little things. It's probably like the most, it's probably got like the widest spectrum of all the sort of kinks I could probably think of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, even the little things, say you're with someone, you're with your partner, and your partner calls you daddy or mummy, and while you're doing that, air quote vanilla things, even that's not entirely vanilla, and that's like the light end of the spectrum almost.
Yeah, it's hot. It's all hot.
Absolutely.
So there you have it, guys. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far, and if you like what you hear, be sure to stay tuned next week for part 2. See you then.